it's Yaz from Yorkshire Peachy Therapies, and welcome back to another episode of Hop, Skip and a Jump. Today I'm joined by Jess, and that's Jess Dog Training on Instagram. We chat through puppies, adolescence, and can they feel pain? I mean, cliff notes, yes, of course they can, but we dive into this topic a little bit more. We touch a little bit on nutrition and early socialisation. So I'm going to stop talking, let's jump into it. So, Jess, thank you so much for joining me today. I know that this was booked in and then I had to cancel it, so it's been a bit backwards and forwards, but you're finally here so we can talk about all things dog and all things pain as well. So, Jess, if people haven't come across you or your business before, tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do.
So my name is Jess. I run Jess's Dog Training, Jess Dog Training on Instagram, no apostrophe. So I am a puppy and teen dog specialist. So sort of taking you, I love it when people contact me when their puppies are sort of 2-3 weeks old, when they're still with the breeder, guiding you through until your dog gets to sort of about 2 or 3. So the hardest, I think, hardest bits behaviorally of having a dog, certainly the teenage phase, I'm kind of there to guide you through the puppy chaos and then the teenage bedlam to get you the happy, confident companion that you always dreamed of.
I think, like, I wish that I knew that when I had puppies because, oh my days, it is so
They're quite
hard.
surprising, actually. Like,
Yeah, I've had
I
customers
have
with puppy
some,
blues.
yes, the puppy blues. But also there's a very specific sound that puppies make that I don't really hear adult dogs making when they're overtired, particularly if you're putting them in a crate. It sounds almost like a hyena, like it's right up here. It's like, and whenever I hear a client's dog do that, it's like flashbacks of my dog, who's a sleeping angel right now, being in his crate, like, let me out, this isn't working for me, when I'm running on like 2 hours sleep. So yeah, puppies are hard work at home
Yeah.
and angels on walks, and then it reverses for teenage dogs. I tend to find that angels at, what did I just say? Oh yeah, angel nightmare on walks, angels at home.
Yeah. What do you think then? So if we look at puppy stage, right? So you bring home your beautiful fresh puppy. Do they have like a call with you first to say how do I prep for them coming home, or is it usually when puppy's at home that you then come on board?
So, like I said, ideally, people will contact me before they even have their puppy home. So they drop me a message. We have a discovery call, establish like if I'm the best person to help them, which if they've got a puppy, generally I am.
Mm-hmm.
And ideally, they would contact me before the 8-week mark so that we can really hit the ground running. Because it's things like if you start from day one with toilet training, it doesn't become a problem. Your puppy's toilet trained by like 10 weeks, pretty much.
Yeah.
First night, getting them confident and just really kind of instilling into them. Sit doesn't matter. Relationship does. Like getting that puppy feeling so safe. That is what matters. And then if they're local to me, you come to my puppy classes and then we teach them sit. Then we do the kind of more practical stuff.
Nice.
But I do also get a lot of people contacting me. I've got a 16-week-old puppy. Can we start class on Tuesday? I've got an 8-week waiting list, mush. So, I like it when people contact me nice and early so we can really hit the ground running, prevent any unwanted behaviors from forming, and kind of instill the importance of relationship over obedience.
What would you say then is the biggest kind of thing that you're dealing with early doors? What are people going, oh, this is driving me absolutely nuts? What would you say is like biting? Yeah, biting, yeah.
But it's not a biting problem, it's a sleep problem.
Ooh,
So,
tell me
yeah.
more.
People are always going, oh, my puppy's biting me. They're causing carnage. The witching hour. If your puppy has got a witching hour, that is a red flag for it. Like well-rested dogs don't have witching hours, in my experience, of which I have quite a lot now with puppies. So people see their puppy mouthing, and puppy mouthing is 99 times out of 100 a symptom of overtiredness and overstimulation. So overtiredness is not getting enough rest. Overstimulation, the longer your puppy's been awake for, the more stuff that we're pouring into them, so the more stimulated they get, and then that comes out in like lurching from one bad decision to another, biting you, digging up the carpet, pulling on your clothes. And then when I tell people that their puppy needs 20 hours of sleep a day, you can just see their faces fall. Like, I'm never gonna get that. So a big part of what I do is making sure that puppies are sleeping enough. And as part of that, we look at enrichment, breed specific stuff, the type of walks we're walking them on, the type of play we're using, diet as well. Obviously, you'll know is massive, making sure that we're not pumping them full of sugar and carbs and additives. So yeah, a large proportion of my day is spent talking to people about how to get their puppies to get the right amount of sleep, and then when they get that, everything else just falls into place.
Because when you're well rested, like I know as a 33-year-old adult, when I'm well rested, I can make better decisions. Like if I don't get my sleep, then that is massively going to impact how my day is going to be, my like the brain fog, and that I'm assuming is going to be the same for the puppies. I think sometimes I always feel like sometimes with puppies, so I don't get to see a lot of tiny puppies. I start to see dogs usually like just under the year mark, if not a little bit afterwards. I think are you on phones do this if it's on?
Yeah, sometimes I get
fireworks. Yeah, have you had the balloons? The balloons.
So, yes, yeah, I balloons once. Thumbs down as well, but like now I'm trying. It's not.
No, it's not doing it. So with puppies, I think everyone rushes to get them outside and to like take them to the coffee shop and take them to Nana's and take them to Grandad's, and like I think sometimes like you've just taken that tiny baby away from its mum, and it's
what
like
I say, you kidnap them.
Yeah, like it's a lot. You can't expect them to, be able to be carried around the garden centre like really early doors. I don't know. What are your thoughts here? I think there's a fine balance between good social exposure to things and noises and stuff, and like too much. Where's the line? Where's the balance?
So I actually tend to find another big problem that I have. So this is something people always want to talk to me about biting, and then I want to talk to them about sleep. The other thing that I need to talk to people about, and I talk to them about it whether they want to hear it or not, because they don't know what they don't know until I tell them, is socialization. Because I would say only about 5% of the people I work with actually know what socialization is and are actually socializing their puppy properly. Vast majority of people think socialization is meeting dogs and meeting people, interacting with them. And I tend to say that's the exact opposite of what you want to be doing. Socialization, the way that I put it, is getting your puppy used to any and everything that they're going to need to encounter in their day-to-day lives, and building up a huge confidence bank of positive and neutral experiences with the world and everything in it. You're not going to be able to do everything. So, for example, I live in the south. We've got loads of donkeys, horses, cows, no sheep. So my dog didn't see sheep until he was 8 months old when we went to Wales. But because he's got this huge bank that I worked on filling, he saw the sheep and he went, "Oh, that's new." Shrugged it off, got on with his day.
Nice.
If you've only got a small bank, you're very quickly into a deficit, and then that's when you get a fearful, reactive, sometimes aggressive dog. So really, I don't, maybe a handful of times, if that, have I seen people over socializing, doing too much with their puppy. That's not a problem that I tend to find. I tend to find it's the exact opposite. People often told by their vet not to take their puppy outside at all until they're fully vaccinated, even if they're in their arms. I also have a lot of people told not to let their puppy in their garden.
What?
So yeah, because the vet has told them that it's dangerous. It's very frustrating. And generally what I say to people is, yes, there is a risk, a very small risk, because 8 weeks old, your puppy should have had their first vaccine. Like, get that booked in the day you bring them home, day after.
And if they've been weaned off mum, they will have
immunity
as well. Yeah.
So the chances of your puppy picking up a deadly virus or pathogen in your garden or when they're in your arms are next to zero. If you look at the amount of the dogs that are put down before their first birthday, or the dogs that die before their first birthday, vast majority are dogs that have been put down for reasons linked to aggression due to a poor socialization period.
Right. Okay.
So you need to be worried about not socializing them, not kennel cough.
Because as well, like kennel cough, that is just as the name states, is a cough. It's gross. It's really like, it'll make them feel really yucky. But as long as, like I recommend Manuka honey and tree bark powder can help with like the coughing aspect. And most of it depends on the breed that you've got, the conformation of the face, and how You know, were they born through a natural birth or a C-section birth is also going to affect their immunity levels because their immune system is so, well, immature.
People that don't realise C-sections are going to have an impact on their puppy's development and behaviour as well. They'll just kind
Massively
of
so.
drop it in, and I'm like, okay, we need to talk about that.
Yeah, it's one of my first questions when I'm doing an assessment for a painful dog, and this dog could be coming to see me at the age of 10, and I'm going, how were they born? And they're like, what? And I'm like, was it natural birth or was it C-section? So I obviously I run my You Can't Train Away Pain course. It's a day seminar, upskilling pet parents, dog trainers, groomers, walkers, behaviourists, anyone that wants to come and learn about pain. This is what this seminar's for. But I had a woman come who was a retired clinical child psychologist, and she told me about C-section. So basically what happens is if we're born out of the sunroof, we don't know we've been born. So when we start...
I was a C-section baby, and I very much feel the relentlessness of life crashing down on me. I definitely know that I was born.
I was born. But when you are born, when you go down the birth canal, your first...
Pressure.
Yeah, the pressure, but also the your reflexes start to kick in because you start to wiggle, right? You wiggle, you get covered in mum's microbiome, lovely jubbly. Whereas when you're born via C-section, you are going from one sterile environment, which is in the uterus, to another sterile environment. So you're missing out on mum's bacteria and that goodness, and that also as well, that process of like being licked and cleaned by mum is also missed.
Yeah.
Then there's the knock-on effect with feeding potentially because they've had to have a C-section, and that's where obviously right where the nipples are, and where so there's so many, and like, you know, mum can get mastitis, which can also affect feeding, so then they might have to be formula fed. There's just so many knock-on effects. But from a nervous system development kind of lens, if you're born via C-section, because you kind of come out squawking and you haven't had chance to go through that process of wiggling down, every time you move, a little bit more of that central nervous system develops and you start picking up sensory information. That process is almost stalled when you're born via C-section. So obviously it starts, but it's delayed, and that delay can then have further implications. So it's like babies that are, this is human babies that are bottle fed, they'll usually be fed on like one side. So then if we're not kind of swapping sides like we would do when we're naturally feeding, it's going to affect the development on both sides. And it's on fascinating stuff. Like, it's I mean, I find it fascinating. But these same things happen with puppies. Same thing happens with the puppies. So if you think of a breed that really commonly has to be born via C-section, what's one of the first breeds that comes to your head?
Oh, well, it's got to be things like Frenchies, isn't it?
Frenchies, English Bulldogs. What are Frenchies and English Bulldogs known for? Having poor, like, skin, immune issues, digestive issues, you know. If they're part of generations of C-sections, that's all going to add up.
Thinking about natural selection, certainly when we're thinking about dogs, like, we're not getting into eugenics with humans. I do not want to open that door.
I'm like, nothing's off limits in the podcast, but I'm like, no, not that one. That one. We'll stick with Frenchies.
If you've got generations of Frenchies having to be born via C-sections, that should be telling us something about the health of these dogs, right?
Yeah, 100%.
They're not able to give birth naturally.
Reproduce naturally. A lot of the, well, more so with the, you know, the lilac-y bulldogs and things like that, or they're not like pocket bullies and stuff like that. They have to use a lot of artificial insemination, which again it reiterates that you know, if they can't survive on their own in the wild, what's that going to tell us about the state of their health going forwards? And that's not to say that, like, I love all dogs, every shape, colour, size, everything. I think the thing that upsets me is that the quality of life is so massively impacted for some of these dogs. Don't get me wrong, I know Frenchies that are pretty robust and they're going well, like, and you know, but then I think of, actually, are they going well or are they just coping?
Yeah, are they better than?
Yeah. And again, that kind of comes back to, obviously I'm going to bring it back to pain. I have never seen a sound Frenchie. Never.
Mm.
I can confidently say I've never seen a sound Frenchie. A lot of them are clinically, quotation marks, clinically sound, but actually have luxating patella and hip dysplasia and hemivertebrae. And I think a lot of that goes missed. Would you say that pain is something that is missed quite a lot with your client pool? So with the puppies and stuff, do people want to talk about pain?
Yeah, it's definitely something that's missed and something that is actively pushed back against when I try and bring it up.
Okay.
So, in my puppy classes, I teach sit, down, stand as a little combo.
Mm.
So that's a really lovely way to get those muscles in the back end starting firming up. And as a byproduct of that, we can talk about sloppy sits and the problem with sloppy sits. We can talk about slippy floor and
Nice.
how that links with sloppy sits.
Mm.
We can talk about hip dysplasia and the quirky Jack Russell skip and
Oh,
steps and bunny hopping and swinging the arse out as
yeah,
they
yeah.
walk. So we get to talk about all of that. And I throw some statistics out there, like 35% of dogs over one have got some kind of arthritis. And you can see people thinking,
Mm.
what? So I gently start bringing it up then.
Yeah.
However, because I do, obviously, I don't just run the classes, I do a lot of one-to-one work as well. And whenever I'm seeing over aroused behavior, the first thing I'm thinking is this dog getting enough sleep? So we put all of the changes in to make sure that the dog is getting enough sleep, setting them up for success. If the dog is resisting that sleep, even with, because there's so many different things that we can try to get a dog sleeping, if we've implemented all of that and sleep is still not happening, and we're seeing things like pulling on a walk, lots of mouthing, zoomies, overexcitement around other dogs, all of this kind of stuff, pain is immediately where I always go. And then obviously if we're seeing anything like resource guarding or separation anxiety as well, because puppies don't have separation anxiety unless the breeder did something awful. That generally comes later when we do something awful to them. It's at that point that I will, if this is a puppy I've been working from 8 weeks, I will be saying, I think this dog is in pain. We need to look into this. And then at that point, you kind of get two camps. You get the people who go, let's do it. Like they take me at my word, trust my knowledge, and they throw everything at it. They investigate it. And I've never been wrong, Yaz. Every single time I thought a dog has been in pain, I've been right.
Yeah.
Which I wish I wasn't, but
It's
also
a weird flex, isn't it?
it's nice to have a proven track record, yeah. Or you get the pushback. You get my dog's not in pain, they just pull on the lead, or my dog's not in pain, they're just too excited around other dogs. And I don't know if maybe I'm not good enough at explaining it, but you'd hope that as an ex-teacher I'm quite good at conveying thoughts and ideas.
I think it's very multifaceted having these conversations with pet parents. So when people bring their dogs to me, they've already done their research. They know why they're coming here, and it's usually for validation of what they're concerned about. And we break it all down and we look at those 4 pillars of pain: changes in gait, capabilities, posture, and behaviour. Behaviour is the biggest one. That's the first one we're going to see. Before we see the other things, it'll be changes in behaviour first. Now, the pushback's interesting. So with the pushback, I kind of, this is a phrase that I use, and whenever I teach people this phrase. So before we have this conversation, I need to make you aware that when we talk about pain, it's on a big scale from mild discomfort to pure agony. When I use the word pain, it is not a reflection of the love and care you have for your dog, but I want to give you a solid foundation from which we build from the ground up. And it's just, and then I'll go, blah, 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 and then I'll just tell them everything that I'm thinking. But the pushback, I think sometimes people can feel that when they're told that their dog, I think your dog is in pain, they almost feel like you're critiquing them. And then it comes down to this, no, I would know if my dog was in pain. And it's like, listen, this it's not a critique, but I'm just telling you, this is my opinion from what I've seen. But they are difficult conversations to navigate, especially for paraprofessionals. So therapists, dog trainers, dog groomers, giving that information back to pet parents, some people just do not want to take that information on board because they don't want to open that can of worms. They're not ready emotionally to open that can of worms and explore the potential that their beautiful puppy that they've brought home is painful. But I'm telling you now, kids, young dogs can be really fucking painful. I've seen a lot of young dogs that have been dismissed, and then I'm go push for imaging, get the imaging, et voila, there's our orthopedic condition. Glaringly fucking obvious.
3 dogs this year under 7 months, 2 with hip dysplasia, 1 with a luxating patella, less than 6 months old.
Poor babies.
And those are the only ones that people that have listened to me, because I've also had dogs who I know got something wrong, and the humans haven't listened to me and haven't done anything about it.
The thing that really kind of gets me go is when because obviously we spend a lot of time educating ourselves on these things, but I think some people, so for example, someone comes to you for lead pulling, and it's like they box you off as that is the only thing that you could possibly talk about is behaviour. But actually, a good trainer or behaviourist isn't looking at a behaviour as a 2D object. It's fucking 4-dimensional. Look behind it. What's causing that behaviour, that behavioural presentation? And those are the trainers that I want to be working with and I want to be liaising with, are the ones that are going to dig deeper beyond that superficial lead pulling. So, for example, with lead pulling, from a pain perspective, I see a lot of lead pulling. The reason is dogs have 4 legs, we have 2. Dogs naturally move quicker than us, but we are teaching them, no, you've kind of got to keep a pace here with me. So they have to alter their gait sometimes, depending on the size of the dog, to keep in line with us. If they're going ahead like an absolute freight train, it's because walking is uncomfortable. A lot of the time I will see dogs that are beautiful and sound in trot, but they are wonky as shit in walk, right? And the reason for that is that the limbs are suspended in the air for longer in trot, so it's more comfortable. That's what I see from a pain aspect of lead pulling. And dogs kind of what do you think from like a training perspective?
That's what I see all the time, and that's the analogy that I use to people. That is also the example that I give when I'm telling people not to use head collars. Because your dog is pulling you because they hurt, and now they just hurt at both ends because you've whacked a aversive tool on their nose as well. So that's an example that I give as to why I think aversive tools are so abhorrent, because very often the behaviours that aversive tools have been designed to stop are rooted in pain. So that's a conversation that I also have a lot as well. But I think it is a case of, I come in and I say, your dog's over aroused, they're pulling on the lead. I want to do, and I very rarely recommend a vet check either, because the vets go, yeah, they're fine. So it's blood and stool samples and canine physio assessment, or a gait analysis, depending on where they are. But I've got a lovely physio down here that I send her to everybody.
Nice. Good.
And I'll get people going, oh wow, I don't think she's in pain. She can't be in pain. She's because she doesn't bark at dogs when we're on a walk. She only does it in the garden. So she's obviously just protecting her territory. And I'm going, stop. That's not what's happening. And it's just, you want to say, like, do you want my advice or not? Because if you've got all the answers, why are you calling me? Like, you've asked me for my advice. I've given you my opinion and you're going, nah. So, like, where does this leave us? And where that leaves us is they don't work with me. And that's why I do the discovery calls. So I can, whenever it's a teenage dog, 7, 8, 9 months or up, usually people are contacting me if they haven't come to puppy classes because they can do it themselves, or I want to do it myself, and then it all goes to pot. Generally it's because there's pain. So if I have a teenage dog come to me as a cold lead, having not come to my puppy classes or anything, dog is usually in pain. So I always bring up that fact on the discovery call, and I soften it by saying, if you work with me, we will be investigating pain as part of the protocol. That will probably involve blood and stool samples, which if you're at an independent vet will cost you about 60 quid. If you're at a chain will cost you about 300, but that's another conversation. A canine physio assessment, which is £65. Potentially ongoing Guardia tests as well.
Yes.
Because I know that your fussy dog has got Guardia without even having to see them.
Yeah.
And I say, but you have to be 100% on board. If there's even a shadow of doubt about working with me, then you shouldn't work with me, because you need to be totally behind the trainer that you choose, and it has to be a perfect fit. So if you have any hesitations at all, like, I would love to work with you, but I don't need to work with. I don't need to work with you. I like this. This isn't. I make enough money. I don't need your business. So I only want your business if you want me.
Got you.
Is what I say to people. And I would say, of those teenage dogs, I mean, occasionally I get one. I've got a lovely boy that I'm working with at the moment who did have an ear infection, but other than that, he's not painful. I'd say majority of the time when people contact me with teenage dogs, if they want one-to-one work after the discovery call, they don't want one-to-one work with me anymore. And you might be thinking, oh, Jess, have you considered the fact that you might just be really disagreeable and unlikable? But
no, I think it's really important when you are self-employed, and you run your own business, like, you get to choose who you work with. And if
I don't be partway through a program having to convince people to do these tests that I know the dog needs, and then have well, Jess came in and she didn't fix our dog's behaviour at all. Our dog is not any better.
Yeah. No, you're setting the precedence before you kind of get going. I think when I first started as a therapist, it was like I would work with any dogs. I would, because I wasn't specialising in pain when I first started, and I'd work with sporting dogs. And then it got to a point where I was like, okay, what cases make me the happiest? Where does my knowledge want to grow? And it was the pain. And so now I only work with predominantly painful pet dogs. I'm very much in pet world, which I'm happy with. Obviously, I'll work with painful working dogs and stuff like that, but I'm not as invested in getting them back into sport and getting them back into competition. I'm like, I might not be the therapist for you. If you've got a complex dog with complex behavioural needs and complex pain needs, I'm the gal for you. I've got the setup for it. We'll get going with it, because some dogs are not going to be behaviourally robust enough to have the really hands-on stuff with the physio, or the beeping laser. And that's not to discredit that work at all. That work is very important, but my niche is the ones that don't want to be touched, and working through positive reinforcement, or I just call it consent-based treatment. I'm like, if they don't want to be touched, there's a reason for that, so let's talk about it. But I can show you what to do, or we can just sit and talk, and usually the dogs will just gravitate to me because you take the pressure off completely. So when I first meet a dog, I say, the pet parents get out of the car and I say, right, I'm not going to actively interact with your dog. I'm just going to completely take the pressure off. It may seem like I'm being a bit rude, but actually they need to relax a bit first, and we go for a walk. And then it's not until we're in clinic I'm like, right, okay, lead, collar, harness, whatever, off, and just let them sniff. We're going to carry on talking. 90% of the work I do in clinic is educating pet parents, because there's only so much I can do with my hands in an hour. So it's I just feel like painful dogs, I mean, God, even if we talked about painful cats, they're getting even worse time. But when dogs are labelled as bad, or they're labelled as, like naughty behaviours and things like that, I just see painful dogs everywhere. I don't know about you. But
oh yeah, I can't enjoy being in public spaces anymore, because I'm like, that got hip dysplasia.
Yeah, lame.
That dog's got a luxating patella. Yeah, literally. So being in public is testing.
Yes.
Trying time.
Yeah.
And very often, so a lot of the puppies that I have come to class, because my conversion rate for discovery calls for puppies is pretty much 100%.
Nice.
So when I have a puppy turn up who I haven't done one-to-one work with previously, because obviously in the one-to-one we'll be talking about harnesses, ergonomically fitting harnesses, we'll be talking about food. And it's when I get a puppy turn up in a Julius canine harness with a bag of treats, and I'm like, and I've got to gently just kind of throw it, oh, you know, by week 2 or week 3, oh, well, this harness is absolutely fine for now until your puppy's grown out of it in a couple of weeks. But we want to be, you know, choosing a different one that isn't restricting any movement. And these treats, have you checked the ingredients list? You know, your top ingredient is cereal. Like, would you want to use Freddy's for treats? Like, would Freddy's be good? And they're just like, oh no.
Thing is, people just go off the information that they know. Like when I got my first dog, I fed Bakers.
Oh yeah.
Bakers. I fed Bakers.
Which isn't cheap. And this is what annoys me. Like, they're crap and they're expensive.
Yeah.
It makes me so angry.
It was Baker's dental biscuits, and it was all different colours and shapes to clean her teeth. And it was actually the dog walker. This was before I was even in this industry. The dog walker said, I've noticed that you've got Bakers on the side. I went, yeah, I got the best. I got the best that I could afford. And he was like, do you realise what's in it? And I was like, yeah, but the biscuits are shaped to clean her teeth. And he was like, no. So, and I said, so what about the Caesar's wet food that's in the... And he went, no. And it was like, this was just a conversation through WhatsApp. And I was like, little did I know that 10 years down the line that I would be a consultant for the UK pet food industry and specialising in pain. But I always say to people, look, don't think I'm sat here on my high horse going, you do this, because I'm right and you're wrong. It's because I've been there. I've been right where you are now, and I've gone and done a shitload of research.
I used to feed my cats a Royal Canin prescription diet.
Nice. Oh, that's sweet.
Can you believe?
I can believe, because my boy Snoopy...
He's the vet.
Yeah. My boy Snoopy, he was fed Hill's hydrolyzed protein, and he was fucking diabetic. So weirdly, when you feed a diabetic dog a pure carbohydrate diet and the only snack he was allowed was a raw carrot, was there any wonder his diabetes was really difficult to control? But I've had to almost let go of that guilt. I've let go of that guilt.
Yeah, you've got...
you can't carry it with you. But what I can do is help educate people further, and that's the main thing. It's about education, and explaining the reasoning.
Wow, yeah,
explain the reasoning behind your choices, because people do the best they can with the information that they have at the time. That's literally what it comes down to.
And with diet as well, I generally just say, like, I'm not going to come in and tell you have to feed your dog raw. Yeah. But what I do want for you is whatever your budget is, whether it's 10p or £10 a day, let's make sure it's the best that you can feed for that budget.
Yeah.
Because I can tell you now, Purina Pro Plan is not going to be the best option for your diet. Pooch and Mutt is not going to be for your budget. Pooch and Mutt is not going to be the best option for your budget. Like, there are other things which are so much better for the same price.
Absolutely. And I think teaching people how to read pet food labels, or I always say, like, look, I'm going to give you a buffet of options. That's what it is, a buffet of options. That could be a pet parent that's come to me and gone, I don't know whether we need to be doing more diagnostics. And I go, right, okay, here's option number 1, option number 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 blah. We either carry on as we are, or maybe we do an ultrasound, or this, that, and the other. You decide. So I'm going to give you the buffet, you decide. And it's the exact same with the nutrition. It's meeting people where they're at. And some dogs just are not suited to raw. They're just not. And that's okay. But I think sometimes there's... people sit in these camps. So there's a camp of raw that you cannot feed any plant-based material. It just has to be meat, bone, and offal. And that's it. Nothing else. Then you've got the ones that, no, we want to formulate our own home-cooked diet off a spreadsheet. Right, okay, cool. Then there's the
That would be me if I had the time. I'd love that.
Oh, I would love to do it. But I don't have the time. I don't have the time, resources, nothing. I would just rather pay someone else to do it for me. So I've got 2 dogs. I call it flexi camping. It was a colleague, Stacey, who told me this. She was like, where you dip into like different camps. So for me, I've got 1 dog that's predominantly fed cooked, so she's on different dog.
Yeah,
different dog. Absolutely love different dog. And she might have the odd bit of raw, but raw full time didn't work for her. But
and cooked full time for Kenny didn't work for him. But too much veg and different dog for Kenny.
Whereas if I give Peggy different dog all the time, she would be a massive itchy mess.
That was Kenny, yeah.
Yeah, so she has to have raw. She might have, like, I never go, oh, I'll just put her a spoon, a different dog in with her food. Never. She's raw. And then my other dog, Rodney, hypermobile, anxious boy, he's on predominantly raw, but I bulk up with raw eggs, or I might scramble it, and some different dog. So they're all three dogs are different in how they're fed, and that's okay. I think people get so wound tightly and like, oh, I can't possibly feed cooked, or oh, I can't. It has to, like people feel like it's all or nothing, and it's really not. It's really not. It's really not.
If I have people with, oh, here he is. Kenny's come to say hello.
Oh, hello, sausage.
Do you want to step up?
Hello, baby.
There he is.
Oh,
So
delicious boy.
If I've got someone with a unit of a dog like Kenny, so Kenny is really expensive to feed. No, I won't tell you how much I spend feeding him. But we have the conversation around, yeah, you can add raw to kibble. Like you can just add a couple of tablespoons a day of raw, and they're like, you can do that, and they're like, well, yeah, I'll do that then.
Yeah.
So yeah, loads of people, because again, they've been told sometimes by vets, mostly by online social media gurus, that you can't mix kibble and raw food because of the pHs. So that's no good. Never mind that their stomach acid is 100 times stronger than ours. But no, they can't possibly have kibble and raw.
When I first started feeding raw, I was 100% it's raw or nothing. If you don't feed raw, you want your dog to be ill and blah, blah, blah. Whereas now I am just so not militant with it. And I used to truly believe that you couldn't mix kibble and raw. I truly believed that. But then I went away and did qualifications in canine nutrition, and I was like, alas, it's fine. And again, it's just about meeting people where they're at. Look at Kenny, what a majestic, handsome beast he is.
He loves it. Look.
I know, I'm stunning. Thank you. Listen, Jess, it has been awesome talking to you. I feel like we've kind of gone through quite a few topics there, but you're going to have to come back because there's going to be much more that we need to speak about, especially with puppies being painful and young dogs being painful and nutrition as well. I feel like we could do a whole thing on nutrition as well. So
I love about dog food.
If people want to find out more about you and your business, where can they find you?
So you can find me, best place is Instagram, but I'm also on TikTok, and I could do with the follows on TikTok. Jess Dog Training. If you want to check out my website, it's jessdogtraining.com. I post loads of information about force-free training, having a puppy, having a teenage dog, tips on both of those platforms. Also, keep an eye out for the new year. There are some webinars in the works that will be free to attend, hosted by me.
Excellent.
So still some things that need to align, but looking very likely, so keep an eye out for that as well.
Excellent. So that'll be in the new year then that we've got some webinars.
Probably.
Excellent. Well, I'll make sure to share them on my socials as well, because your content there is so much thought and education in your content. Even if people aren't in a position to maybe book onto a puppy class or do the one-to-ones with you, you've got heaps of resources to kind of keep people on the right track, which I absolutely love.
And even if and again, if people can't afford classes or can't afford to work with me online, so much content on there. I've got blogs on my website as well.
Nice.
And if you want to give me some kind of payment, like and share, guys.
Honestly,
like and share. Even if you don't particularly like it, still give me a like if you like me.
Even like doing something like that, or even if you've read a blog, learnt something about it, leave a review.
Oh, Google reviews.
Google reviews. Like we're all like, clambering around for reviews and stuff like that, but it does mean so much. It means so much to us, and it helps improve, like brand confidence for the next person who's booking in and is maybe on the fence. So reviews, please, is amazing. This is why this podcast is here, because I want to talk about pain with fellow professionals, all different types of professionals. And again, this is a resource. This is a free resource for people to use and hopefully take something away from. So if you have liked this episode of the podcast, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you check out Jess on her socials. But for now, lots of love to you and your dogs. Take care. Bye.